All right. Let's go.
Hello
and welcome to another Woodshop podcast with Mike Coffey of Coffee Custom Builds.
Dan, turn off the porn.
I'm sorry. Peter Kapar of Future's Workshop. You can find us all as well as the podcast on Instagram and YouTube.
Coward.
I'm dancing.
The Nebraska handshake or
whatever. Welcome to episode 75 of another Woodshop podcast. 3/4 Centennial pine.
What? You just threw words together.
3/4 Centennial. It's 75. 3/4 of 100.
That's true.
Yeah,
And then you threw
3/4
pine in
Centennial
there,
pine.
bro.
Well, because it has
I don't
to be.
believe any of
Pine is
that.
fine. You know what else is
Oh,
fine,
okay.
Mike? Mike, what else is fine?
Well, first of all, my favorite thing that's fine is pine, of course.
Hence, you're gonna be a
loves
pine farmer.
It's fine. It's gonna be. That's my big announcement, Pete. You took it right out from under my wings, out of my mouth. I don't know. You know what's really fine? A great big bucket of fine. Patreon.com/another Woodshop podcast. If you want to go over to Dan, you didn't like. I saw you shake your head, Dan. That is not cool. Dan's like, not this time, guy. Go to patreon.com.
It was my Tourette's. Don't read too much into
lovely hat.
Lovely hat.
it.
Bippy, /another Woodshop podcast. And you could support the show financially. You could back us. You could go fund our show through Patreon if you wanted to. But 3 people decided to join the Meh Army this last week. And I wanted to give them a little shout out right now. That's Tim Lindell, David St. Laurent, and Dave. We got 2 Davids. That's dope.
I think we have
David
more than
week.
2 Davids. We just got 2 new Davids.
No, 2 new Davids in a row.
2 in a row.
Not 6
Davids
in a row. Come
Not
on.
6. 1 week we need 6 D's in a row. Davids in a row. Sorry. Then David Snyder. So big thanks to all 3 of you guys for joining the Meh Army. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Hey, you know what? This week, this community is amazing. Obviously, that's very evident by you guys supporting our show. We really appreciate it. But this week, the community lost a beloved member of the community, and Pete's going to talk about that right now. We just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, so we kind of wanted to bring this up and dedicate the show to Aaron Mattia, who unfortunately passed away this week due to some complications from surgery. If you're not familiar with Aaron, Dan, Mike, and myself have been fortunate enough to meet him via Zoom when we did our Stoops and Clubhouse. He's a great member of Jimmy DeResta's team. He was a shop manager. He actually used to work on Mythbusters behind the scenes as well. He was a solid dude, super nice, great member of the community up here. Would do the Maker Camp, which we'll talk about a little later. So just wanted to give him a shout out, send some love to him and his family, some thoughts and prayers, and it's rough when you lose a member of our community. It's tough. So just want to give him a big shout out.
I didn't know him very well or at all. I can't say that I did, but the outpouring of condolences and how heartwarming anecdotes and stuff. There was a lot on multiple different posts. So obviously he was very beloved, and his legacy will go on. So
Absolutely.
it's really good.
I had the pleasure of interacting with him several times on Zoom, and everything is true. Good dude.
Yeah, and the outpouring of love from the community, you can see that this community is real. When this happens, something like this happens, we all react. And that's why we love this community and we love you guys, because we're all connected. We may have never met him, but it hit us all the same. We're all like, whoa, that's devastating. That's tough. But sending you love, man.
For sure. It's important to have an impact in the community. And, obviously we're doing what we do here. We love doing it. And obviously that's impacted some people's lives. For example, Shags 44 had this to say: I finally received the financial compensation I was entitled to due to myself and or a loved one being diagnosed with mesothelioma, and listening to AWP helped me figure out how. Thank you for the 4 stars.
That was
Shags 44.
was it 4 or 5 stars?
It's 5 out of 5. 5 stars.
5 out of 5. Okay, yeah. I was
I was
gonna
gonna say 4 stars.
4-star, no.
Sorry, 5 out of 5.
Oh man, we asked you guys and you guys delivered. That's why we love you all.
We asked for ridiculous reviews and you guys are amazing. So we got 3 this week. Let's move from the loss of Aaron to some little
We're going to make you guys,
here.
smile and celebrate.
So whenever this is from literal Gina, or it's literal.
I couldn't.
Gina.
I was trying to figure that out.
I kind of like Gina. Let's go with Gina.
It's literal Gina. Gave us a 5 out of 5. She or he said, whenever I'm listening to AWP, my cat starts itching herself like a lot. She acts like she's trying to scratch her ears off. Sometimes she just runs into the walls head first. It's weird. I found her with a rope one time, and I swear she was tying a noose. On the other hand, my wife leaves me alone in the shop when I listen, which probably saved my marriage. Thanks, AWP.
Oh my God, that was a roundabout way of saying that. My cat almost abscended himself, but my marriage is safe.
Hey, Mark Arnold, it's a miracle. The itching finally stopped after episode 74. 3 thumbs. 3 thumbs.
Meanwhile, Dan's sitting there scratching all pre-show.
It doesn't always work. 60% of the time it works every time. Anyway, big thanks for the reviews, you guys. That was pretty dang funny.
I love this new segment.
And to anyone that's confused, we basically requested that you guys leave ridiculous, totally confusing 5-star reviews for us. So if people stumble upon us, we go up in rating. People are like, oh, it's a woodworking podcast. Let me check the reviews. Make no sense. We want people to really be confused.
We'd really like as much Man Army confusion as possible. So I'm gonna reel that May Army into the ground.
It's really mayhem.
I love it.
Mayhem.
Don't ruin this.
Mayhem.
All right, let's
just meh.
I don't know. My week was kind of weird. I don't have a whole lot to talk about, but I know there's something we do want to talk about in the What's on My Bench segment. We can't talk about any of that until Dan sings with his beautiful angelic voice right now. I believe I'm pregnant now. It's facts.
Itching stopped.
Dan's beautiful. The itching stopped, and now I'm pregnant with Dan's voice, baby. And
well, it could be from me for now.
up until Nick Brim gets his tin snips out. Dan, speaking of tin snips, what's on your bench this week, or what was on your bench? I don't know how we segue from this.
There's no way to segue from that, I don't think. You could jump on your Segway and try to run away. Get it? I know. So I got my little I got the little end table done, the one that I've been talking about making on the CNC and everything. I think it came out really great. I really do. Cool. I'm super happy with it. I got it up on Etsy. I need to get the files ready and the templates done and everything. I had a few people say they would like the templates, so all 2 of you soon.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, Mom.
It's mom and Aunt Brenda. Aside from that, I've had a shop helper. He's been working on one of the mosaics the mosaic that I had commissioned.
One of the one mosaics.
Oh, I thought you were back in the game.
One of the one. It's actually coming out really good. I need to share it someday on Instagram. He's been working on that. Just a lot of little shop things, Etsy orders and whatnot. So I feel like a broken record at this point. I'm Etsy, CNC. That kind of controls my life right now. It's kind of crazy. It is a little money making machine. It's nice to have. I did take some more orders. I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I got 1 order for 3 of those slide tables.
You did.
Did I mention that? And I got to ship them off to San Francisco, so I got to figure out.
Rice-A-Roni.
Well, does that trolley train come to Nebraska? I don't know.
I believe so.
Cable car. Yes. Cable car. That's what it's called.
Check your Apple Maps.
Yes. Well, if that's the case, then I'll just.
You can check car, walking, trolley. Trolley for the distances. Yeah.
So I got that. I got to make 8 more side tables for that same client. So on the next side table. Oh. And aside from that
CNC table part of that, did that go to them?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was wondering that.
So basically, I'm making 2 side tables for their reading room, and they're going to be kind of complementary to each other. Making a side table.
Lovely hat. Complimentary.
I get it.
I'm making a coffee table and side table package for them for their basement, and I'm also making some side tables for their upstairs bedroom, and then I'm going to make a desk for one of their offices. So I got like a lot of projects for this one client, which is great. Awesome. Because I like money.
So this is all
money's dope.
Side table work, side work, right? It's like all side jobs, side table jobs. Sorry, it's a stretch. I know. I had.
Why do we keep him?
I'm the comic relief.
Not much relief.
Oh my god, that song was amazing. I think I petitioned to change the "What's on My Bench" song to Pete saying,
"I'm the comic relief."
So let's listen to Dan describe his day. Comic relief.
Liza Minnelli.
and okay, enough of the "What's on My Bench" actual stuff. I booked a trip to go see Pete in early October something. October 7th
ish.
7th.
6th.
We talked about going for the weekend, but I booked a 5-day trip. I'm going to go hang out there. I didn't even ask. By the way,
technically,
Pete,
you're getting it in at like the super end of the first day, and then
by the way, Pete, I'm
6 a.m. the day.
I'm staying there for 5 days.
That's 5 days.
That's
cool.
Fine.
I mean,
5 or 6, something like that.
I mean, it's like he's coming in Wednesday and then leaving Monday morning.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think I'm probably doing the same. I might grab a red eye out.
It's fine. I don't have to work or anything.
It's no big deal. You work from home. It's fine. Stop being a whiner. Anyway, that's kind of what's on my bench. Mike, tell me about your week, please.
Oh, me. Okay, I was going to try to look up some
tickets
to go to. Okay.
You're going to buy your tickets right now?
Do you want me to go while you look up a ticket?
No, I'm fine. Actually, the prices are pretty low right now, like really low.
Yeah.
Anywho, I built 3 tables. No, not tables. I built 3 tabletops for a restaurant this week. Restaurant's opening up next week.
Tabletops.
So
they're just like
cool.
Large swing planks, right?
There's huge cutting board. Yeah, they're big swing planks. I made a swinging porch bench, but then I cut off the arms and
just massive cutting boards. That's all they are.
Yeah, they're just big cutting boards. 2 30 by 48 and 1 30 by 66 table. They were 8-quarter, but I ordered them up rough sawn. I did all the milling, which I like doing so it came in a true 2-inch, which was nice because I can get it down to the size. The reason I did that is because I just wanted to join the joints and then flatten it all on the CNC and have plenty of leftovers. So it made that process really quick. So it was mostly almost entirely just finishing work for the most part. Making the panels didn't take hardly any time at all. So I did that, and then I'm doing a lot of administrative stuff right now. I'm pricing up a lot of work, which is awesome. So it was mostly that kind of stuff really this week. Got some
Mike, sorry, quick question. For tabletops like that, are you joining them with dominoes or are you just straight up gluing them up?
That's a huge surface area. I didn't use any dominoes for that.
No? Okay.
I was like 2 inches is like
because I know you use them sometimes for alignment for like larger tables.
Yeah, when I'm not like so like for live edge, I only do it for live edge tables because the parallel clamps have like weird faces to grab against to pull together, and the dominoes just helps it from sliding up and down. So, but a table like that, there's so much glue surface face, it's just not even an issue. Also, when I have like a table that I'm not 100% certain on the wood, like moving a little bit after I've joined it, like if I can't, if I don't have any thickness to lose, if I'm done losing thickness on a table, I will use dominoes to make sure that I don't have to sand away anything to make everything flushed up. You know what I mean? So I don't have to feather it out. So when I have like no play, I won't, but I try to avoid it when I can. It's not necessary at all. Anyway, long story. And then I got some final word on this big giant table for the bar. Finally, looking like I'm delivering that on September 7th, which is great. I cannot wait to get that out of here. It's been a real learning experience with that job. Just it wasn't anything I didn't really know because of my job with my family, but dealing with commercial customers, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. So just kind of dealing with that for my own business has been a really nice learning experience. it's been a fine experience. They haven't been a difficult customer at all. They've been a great customer. There's just a lot of things that a big job site like that requires, and I have to accommodate them. So I'm learning that, and that's really, I mean, I'm really chasing more of that commercial work as much as I can. So had some good conversations with some interior designers this week. If you can find a way to get, I'm going to be, okay, here's an inside scoop that I did this week. Well, in the last couple of weeks, I Google searched best interior designers in my area, and then I just like and follow bombed the crap out of their Instagram pages. And I did that to about 20 interior designers in the area, and it netted me 3 conversations that were very good. So if you're looking for work for your little business, that's one way to do it. It worked out pretty good for me. I was really happy with it. And the other ones, like the majority of them followed me back. So there's the opportunity for possible networking there. Network whenever you can. It really helps out a lot, getting to know people. So anyway, that was one thing I did. But yeah, it's just been mostly administrative stuff, kind of getting things planned and laid out. I've got to get this poker table. I'm gonna get some progress on that next week. This weekend's going to be dedicated to the big Sky Lounge table. I want to get that joint done for that mitered leg, or for the mitered waterfall edge done this weekend with my cousin here. I want to get the leveler feet installed, and I want to get started on getting the finishing going on that. And then I want to really jump into the poker table, spend the majority of the time on that next week. And then I will be jumping onto this redwood table I've got. And then I've got like a bunch of little custom orders that I've been doing all week. I just constantly get random little custom orders in, which is cool. So, and then, the house. That's kind of really the thing that's going on this week. We got, we're still in negotiations on this house. I think we're kind of going to wrap up the negotiations tomorrow. We actually realistically wrapped it up today. There's some, just everyone has to sign the agreement now, and we're on the same page with that. And then we're just waiting on an appraiser now. Just really, really hard to get an appraiser apparently. So we're just waiting on an appraiser, and unfortunately we found out today that we might not get an appraiser until the 31st of August.
Jeez.
Which is the end of the month. So
are they in a rush to close or no?
These people are. They're in a big rush to close.
Oh, they want to. I
don't want to give up too much of their personal information, but they're moving out of state, and the wife already has a job. She starts in a few weeks. She's like going to be gone. The husband's going to be staying behind, like wrapping up all the stuff by himself. So the wife and the kids are going up there. So they're in a hurry. Yeah. I mean, and we aren't in a hurry, but it'd be nice to get everything done. And I just want resolution on this. It's just so frustrating. Yeah. It's taking so long. So, and some of the other stuff I won't talk about because it'll come up in the questions we're going to have here. So I'll talk about that when we get into some of the questions. Pete, what about you?
Oh, me? Oh,
little old you?
Little old me. I went sailing for a week, and it was amazing. I was in Maine for pretty much the whole week. I was on a boat, and we were going fast, and I was wearing Marshall's khaki shorts and a maker t-shirt, and
yes, and
gotta rhyme and with and. So yeah, I was out in Maine. Emma's. So first of all, to everyone that was asking the question, no, me and Emma did not buy a boat. We're not like made of money. We just bought a house. We're broke now.
We poe.
Emma's dad is a boat broker. He sells sailboats. So like he had one in Florida, and then he ended up actually moving it.
Seaboats.
He sells sea boats by the seashore. So he ended up moving it to Maine because the sailing in Maine is way better than in Florida. Florida's just hot and it's shallow. Maine is, it's beautiful. And the weather was outstanding. It was like 65 pretty much the whole time we were there and sunny. It was perfect weather. I was warm. They're all from Florida. They were freezing. It was hilarious. Meanwhile, I'm just like walking around in shorts and a t-shirt. Fine. But it was a blast. I really enjoy sailing, but it's camping on a boat. It's what it is. You're in a camper, except you can't like leave except, in a little dinghy. So you got to take a little boat out.
And you can't have a fire.
You can't have a fire. That's one big downside. But aside from that, it's straight up just camping. And it was just nice to like disconnect, especially after all the work we've been putting in on a house. It was nice to just get away and see some of these old boats. Well, the house. What?
I said, did you get a house?
Yeah, the house.
The old house.
it was nice to walk away. But now that we're back, like the last day and a half, I also had no service like almost the whole time I was there. So we finally got back to like civilization. I started like making plans for things I got to do and all that. So on our way back, we were heading through Boston. So we started talking to a couple people, Lucas from MannMade, Dre from Crafts with Dre, or Crafted with Dre. I apologize, I'm messing that up. And then Lee from Regal Street, Lee again. They're all in Boston. So we ended up doing a little meetup at Lucas's shop or his house, and we got to see his shop, and he's got a ton of really old tools in there. He's buddies with Thresta and Aaron as well, rest his soul. So like Thresta, Derek from Malden, all these guys like that are up from like that whole area that just collect tools. All they do is like message each other when like an old tool pops up, and they try to fix them up. And it's cool because Lucas actually does if there's a broken part, he'll mill all the parts himself. He has a small, I don't know if it's a Bridgeport or what, but it's like a benchtop milling machine and a milling lathe. So that's pretty cool. We got to hang out a bit, catch up, and then we got home at like 2:30 last night. Just a little rough of a commute, but that was a great trip. Now, one thing I did, actually, should have mentioned this in the beginning. Since I was going on vacation, my turnaround time on Etsy is usually 1 to 3 days. And I stick to that. I have a pretty good record, but I was going to be away for a week. And I kept getting orders up until like, I was like, Emma, I have to close up the shop. I have to put in vacation mode. And then she was like, why don't you just put like extend the lead time? And I'm like, why don't I? So I just changed everything to 7 days. And it's a good thing I did, because I got hammered with orders while I was away. Like I haven't gotten this many orders in a long time in one weekend. So came in yesterday, came in last night, and then today boxed up all the orders. I'm completely cleaned out, so I have to start running the printers pretty much nonstop for the next few days to restock. So that was pretty good. So hey, lesson learned, guys. Don't ever go and put your shop in vacation mode. Just extend the lead times. It's way easier.
Makes sense.
Yeah, aside from that, I'm back home. I started setting up my shop a little bit today and my office. So I'm finally gonna, hopefully next week, I'll be recording with a different background. I'll be in my office and not in the downstairs in the basement with the printers. What's cool is I got this
bodies.
Yeah, and bodies. And I got this really dope sit stand desk. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have this desk. If it's as long as the old one, I'm gonna have it for 10 plus years. Let me get a nice one. So it's a big L-shaped sit stand desk, fully motorized. And I ended up getting Ikea butcher block top. You can get this ash butcher block. It's 96 inches for $70. So by 24 inches. So, or 25 actually.
You got it that one time on like discount, right? Or
no, so that was a different one. That was like a whole different one. That was actually some nicer, fancier wood. That's going to go in the laundry room. This, we just straight up went there, bought 2 of those. So I'm going to have almost a full stretch. I have to cut off like a little less than a foot off of one end. And then the other one, I have to cut it down to about 55 inches. I think that's the biggest that my table can accommodate. So I'm going to have this massive like executive butcher block desk out of this Ikea butcher block that they have. And it's 1/8 inch veneer with a hard, like a solid core. So this thing is heavy as hell. But the desk can lift 330 pounds. So it should be good. So I'm excited for that. So tomorrow we'll cut it all down to size, get it all put together, and I'm gonna have a desk finally for the first time in forever.
I want to get one of those really bad when I finally set up my office. I want to get a sit stand.
I'll tell you how the one I got feels, because it seems really solid. The reviews were really good. It was a little pricey, but again, it was like, I'm gonna have this desk for a decade.
1,000?
No, it was not that pricey, but it was $550, $600 for the base.
I just want to get the base, and I want to get I have an elm slab down in the shop that I want to turn into my desk really bad.
Honestly, if I had enough like hardwood laying around or whatever, because I was trying not to go and buy hardwood. I knew I was gonna have time to like mill it all up. But if I had my shop ready, I might have probably made a top. Eventually, I might do that anyways. But anyways,
330 pounds, you said?
330 pounds. It can lift.
I want to put that to the test when I'm out there.
You got it, Dan.
All right.
I got you, buddy. You're actually you're gonna be staying in that room. I'm putting a little futon in there.
I'm
a little
sleeping
nice
on the
leather
desk.
black casting couch style thing.
Hey,
Yeah.
when I'm there, Pete, could you go to like Walmart and buy sheets for about $1.50 and then coat them in Scotch Guard?
Yeah,
And
nice
then
try, Mike. I already learned. I'm not putting any sheets on there. I know you don't like those. I kept all the foil from painting It's all there.
Perfect.
I'm just gonna wrap the bed in that.
Outstanding.
Like
If
an
you
old
just,
person's
like,
house, man.
If
It's
you could
wrapped
run
in
to
plastic.
Costco and get like one of those like industrial drums full of KY jelly and then just dump the whole thing on the bed before I get there, would be outstanding.
I'm just gonna like,
So as soon as I just lay on it and just shoot off like a rocket.
no man, I'm just like,
Yes.
I'll take my little can of WD-40. I'll just like spray it inside.
Also, if they
Slippery.
could please be like Wolverine sheets, I'd be really
Wolverine
stoked on
sheets?
that too. Thanks.
Yeah.
Now you're going too far. This joke has gone too far.
5 count.
I don't
If they
like
could
it.
be in Dan Dunlap's second story, third room, that'd be
I don't know about
great.
you, man. I slept like a baby at Dunlap's house.
Yeah, it must be nice.
Yeah, it was nice. What else? Oh, and last thing is, I'm trying to wrap up finishing up the shop over the next week or so. I want to get all the tools in the right spot. I need to get a couple more electrical boxes and some more outlets. I got the outlets. I cannot find at any Home Depot around us, and I've gone to 3 already. I can't find the boxes that I use in the rest of the shop, and I can't find the covers, the metal covers. It's
'cause
insane.
We probably use what electricians use, the deeper boxes with the
Yeah,
with
that's
the
exactly what we
faces
used,
on 'em.
and it's just there's just such a massive shortage. Like I'm going to these places, and you never notice it when you
All
go there because
electro-
all the consumer stuff is like there. It's the contractor grade stuff that like is gone. It's the whole wall is like empty, and they like backfill with other stuff, and you realize like, whoa, this is almost like there's just nothing compared to what they actually had. So we actually even had trouble finding a panel at the first place we went to. It's nuts out there. But anyways, that's it. Surprisingly big what's on the bench considering I was away for a week, but I got a lot done today. Anyways, let's start doing some questions right after a word from our sponsor.
Which is people calling in questions.
Patrons.
Mike's
So,
Furnitures.
Mike's
Mike's
Furniture.
Furniture's right next to Mike's Furniture.
Furniture. Can't find it.
This
Mike's
next
Furniture.
question. Well, actually, this first question. Actually, I don't even know if it's a question. It's some advice from Aaron from Ingrained in Woods.
Hey guys, Aaron in Green Wood. So I was listening to the pod about Mike's fire insurance issues. Got a buddy that lives small town out in the middle of nowhere, and his house he could not get homeowners insurance because they did not have a fire department that serviced him on a little river. He bought a 30-year-old $9,000 fire truck. Got 2 of his neighbors with their own cabins to all take fire department training, and they started their own volunteer fire department. So, Mike, you never know. You could be a volunteer firefighter and start your own fire department.
You laughed at me.
That way. Love the pod, guys. Have a good one.
You laughed
Thanks,
at me when
Aaron.
I suggested it, but it works.
I don't
clearly.
remember you suggesting it, but
I
mean-
did. I like a couple episodes ago. I said buy your own fire truck.
You're right, you
It's
did
not
say that.
the
I do
worst
remember that.
idea. When Aaron explains it, it makes more sense than when Dan said it.
right.
Oh,
when Dan
sure.
drunk, when Dan,
Because Dan was like holding a beer bottle,
When
like,
Dan slurred
"Mike,
it.
I got an idea for you."
What was the drink you had? Ranch droppings or whatever. What was it
Ranch
called?
droppings.
Farm trough water or something. What was
Farm
it
trough water. Yeah.
That's yeah. So anyway,
Straight from
Dan's
Texas.
7 farm trough waters into the show, slurring, "Get a fire truck." It doesn't make as much sense. And then itching is
And keep a
going to
bucket
town
of
with-
water at the end of your driveway.
Yeah.
Bucket
No,
of
actually,
water. That was his big plan.
That is a good idea. I mean, the reason we were getting such high fire rates is because the nearest fire hydrant is like a mile away or 2 miles away. And while talking to my insurance guy, who's been my friend for like 20
Not anymore.
years,
He's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
was
we're
your
still-
friend.
Yeah, he was my friend. He's gone now. No, but he was explaining that if me and the because I called the water company to see what it would cost to get a fire hydrant out there, and they said it'd be about $15,000 to $20,000. But they said typically neighbors will all go in on it, and my insurance guy was telling me that likely it would drop the insurance of everyone's policies out there like 60 to 70% or something like that. Well, his insurance company is saying that, but who knows what insurance they have, so it might not actually help. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is we were able to find someone else. State Farm actually was able to write us a policy with the fire insurance included because our property, or what's going to be our property, it falls under a small farm, and with the small farm rates, they're actually different. So anyway,
Coffee
we got-
Pine Farms.
Yep, I'm a pine rancher, is what we're called, pine ranchers. No, it's gonna be okay. Thankfully, we don't have to.
I can
pay.
see you out there
It was-
herding pine.
Herding
Come
the
on
pine.
now.
Get along, little pine tree.
That's what Luna's for. She's a herding dog.
Yeah, Luna's hurting my pine. Okay, this is odd. This next question is from Down Under, from Ash Walker Woodwork and Whiskers.
Hey boys, Ash from Woodwork and Whiskers, in case you couldn't work that out. I was watching Mike's stories earlier with the sanding sealer on the table. I was wondering, what sort of applications do you use that for, Mike? Is it just for like large tables, or do you put it on everything, or how do you work out what to apply that on? Interested in your thoughts. Thanks very much. Cheers.
I put it on toast.
Sanding sealer is so good on toast. It's so good. No, for sanding sealer, it has a few uses, but one thing is to fill in grain. So water-based finishes tend to not like fill in like like on walnut or elm has it, or white oak has it really like a lot.
And red oak.
Any of the oaks, red oak. Any of the oaks have it. Ash has it. Any like cherry doesn't have it. What maple doesn't have it. They have really tight grain or really tight cell structures. But walnut is like really open. So is elm and ash and all this. The sanding sealer, you can actually thin down to 50%, and it will get into those little cracks. And so basically, you lay down a coat and you almost essentially sand it back almost all the way entirely. And what you're doing is you're making a substrate inside the little tiny grain openings, so that when you spray down your clear over the top, you have a perfectly flat surface for it to adhere to. So when you kind of look down the sight of it on the horizon, you don't see any spots where it goes in. So it's a grain filler. Essentially, it's a clear grain filler. The other thing is with sanding sealer is water-based finishes don't typically have as much of that pop as the oil-based and the solvent finishes do. Sanding sealer will actually give you a lot of that back. It's more steps you have to do. It's like 2 coats you're going to want to do it, maybe even 3. But if you do thin coats, add more stuff in there, you're going to have more. It gives the finish more depth without it feeling thicker, like a thick film, like you've laid down plastic over the top.
Thick.
So the sanding sealer will give you some more depth to that finish, and it will actually get, like, if you have some figure, it'll look more like you sprayed an oil finish over that. It won't look exactly the same as an oil finish. It's going to be more muted for sure. But if you spray it for 30 years, you're probably not going to die from it. So you got to kind of choose which one. And realistically, the bottom line is the majority of people who, the only people who are going to complain about that depth being missing is woodworkers. Your customer probably doesn't care or notice. So just something to think about. But the sanding sealer for big tables, I like to do it because it brings out even amount of character throughout the table, and then it fills in that grain. So that's the answer to that on sanding sealer. Dan.
You can also buy sanding sealer in different colors. So if you like the look of like a patinaed wood, a rescued or a recycled wood, or reclaimed. That's the word I'm looking for.
Rescue, recycle, reclaim.
Reclaimed wood. You can buy like a black sanding sealer, which I have in the shop actually, and I haven't had a chance to use it, but that would look great in a reclaimed wood that has a lot of like open grain and stress fractures and stuff. Yeah. I got some a couple years ago. I got some really great like reclaimed cedar from an old fence, and I redid that. And some of that black sanding sealer would have looked phenomenal in that stuff because it just accentuates the grain and the quote unquote oldness and the patina, I think. So, Pete, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just use sanding sealer mainly for CNC work where I carve something out and then I spray it, because I've learned that a lot of paint runs and it'll just like, run into the grain. So you got to make sure to seal that up if you pour any epoxy in there or if you're painting inside the area. And then you just leave it as is. Obviously, you can't sand it out. You just sand the top coat.
That's a good point.
Spray inside.
If you've got like an engraving, if you're engraving into a piece of wood, you're going like if it's a V-bit, right? It's going cross grain in a lot of different directions, and you're basically going to try to spray paint into in grain. It's going to soak it right in.
It's going to
go on there unevenly. So with the sanding sealer, you could spray that and then hand sand it real quick, and you kind of break it back, and then everything applies more evenly. So you can do that something similar with like shellac, but sanding sealer is quick and easy. It's it's just like a watered down finish.
Unwaxed shellac. Make sure you get unwaxed.
A de-waxed shellac.
De-waxed.
Yep, correct. Yep, correct.
Bikini wax shellac. Brazilian.
100% correct. John Sapowski, he has this to say.
Hey guys, this is John Sapowski at Seppo's Workshop calling in. I have a question about floating shelves. I have a bit of a drinking problem with the whiskey. I have about 40 to 60 bottles in a little
Sounds like
cabinet.
you're not drinking enough.
And it's getting a little too full. So I was wondering if you had any suggestions on floating shelf hardware. That's about it. Short and sweet. Thanks, guys.
Dan, which ones on Amazon do you buy?
Actually, I don't. I make my own.
Oh, you
just
don't?
out of like 2x4s and stuff. But I was gonna suggest, John, maybe it's time to step up and drink a little bit more of that whiskey so you don't have this problem, bro.
Amen.
But yeah, I always make my own out of 2x4s, and it's on a case by case basis. It's not always the same, so I just try to make whatever works for the application I need it for. I've never bought floating shelf hardware. Even the floating shelves I just installed, I made my own. Pete?
I've gotten several over last decade. Anywhere from the, it's like a long bar with two or three like poles
Rods.
sticking out of it, rods. Where you just mount it straight to the wall
Cool.
and put it on. But like drilling those out is a nightmare.
Yeah,
It's awful. It's like the worst thing to do. Because of course you got to use one of those bits that you like use for like drilling through a wall to like run cable or something. Because what other bit is that length? So stay away from those. The other ones that are really, really good, but they also can't take like a crazy amount of weight. They can take a good amount of weight. Is the ones that are essentially just, it's like almost like a Z clip, but it's like a full run of it. And there's two parts. There's a part that you attach to the wall, and there's a part that you attach to the
It's like a French
shelf
cleat.
itself. It's a French cleat essentially. And you just have to route out a section inside the wood. So that's the only tricky part. You have to route out a section, probably make a little jig for it. The last one is to make a French cleat. It's sometimes if it's a big enough shelf, sometimes Dan, the ones you made were a little thicker, right? They were like 2-3 inches. The most recent ones
they
you
were
did?
just 1.5 by 1.5 inch strips.
You made like a frame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
made a
like
frame.
if you're doing
But
something a little thicker, you can hide it. I've even seen people
It worked out good because these were corner shelves,
Mhm.
inside corner shelves. So I didn't need to bring out the hardware any. Like it could just sit on the brackets
on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've seen people do an entire mantle with a wooden French cleat. They screwed it into the wall and then popped the mantle right on top. So that's strong enough as well. But I haven't done a ton of those. I've done just some of those. My best results have been with the metal French cleat system. I don't have one specifically I recommend, but I'll just go by Amazon and get whatever has good reviews.
French cleats are incredibly strong.
Super strong.
And they work great. I mean, all my clamps are sitting on a single French cleat. Every one of my clamps. And that must be 400 or 500 pounds of clamps. I mean, I have a crap load of clamps. So, I mean, it'll hold a shelf. No problem.
Yeah. Mike, do you have a recommendation?
No, not for a brand. I've only done one floating shelf ever, or it was 2 shelves for a lady. I did the ones with the bar and the rod in it, but I didn't drill it out. I built the body up around the spot where it would go in. So, but it sucked. I mean, it just sucked. It wasn't great. And floating shelves are, unless you're going to pop the drywall off and attach directly to the stud with those metal ones, they're not going to be particularly strong with like those drywall grommets that go through the back. Those aren't going to do it. So,
Yeah.
The only other thing that I've done in the past, and I've done it a few times, I don't know if you guys remember that walnut, like hall tree coat rack thing I had made like a year and a half ago or something. Anyway, that is held up with a French cleat. I mean, that's just a walnut French cleat. I had an ugly piece of walnut that was sapwood. I ripped it at a 45, or I cut it in half, cut 45s, attached it. I mean, that shelf probably weighs 85 pounds by itself, and it's got coats and hats and my wife's decorations up there. I mean, there's probably 160 pounds on that French cleat, and it's got 4 studs it's screwed into with 2 screws. I mean, that thing's not moving ever. It's a beefy boy. So the French cleats, like Dan was saying, they're just crazy strong. Like you can really count on them. If you can hide them and conceal them, no one will know. It looks amazing. Anyway, that's one way to do it. This next question is from Josh, which we pronounced his name
Josh.
wrong apparently like 30 episodes ago. Here we go.
Jersh.
Hey guys, it's Josh
George.
from 507 Woodworks here. Dan, I hope this time around you can remember my name. Episode 52 was a little questionable. Anyways, my question is, I have a potential future client asking me to build built-ins in her home, which is awesome, but I've never done built-ins before. So I'm curious if you have ever taken on a project that you've never done before and is above what you're used to doing. If so, did you do it for pay still, or did you have the customer be liable for any, I guess, screw ups that you made during the process, and just took it as a learning experience more so than financial gain? Just curious on how you go about this, and yeah, appreciate everything you guys are doing. Keep it up. We'll talk to you guys later.
Dan, have
Well,
you ever
John.
built anything you didn't know how to build? John.
I'm sorry, Jimothy. Yeah, those Murphy doors. I'd never built those, but I can't imagine going to the client. I've never done this, so you're going to be liable for all my goof ups. Sorry. It's just I can't imagine a client's going to be like, okay, but
Thank you. Yeah, you just don't tell them.
I mean, you let them know I've never done this, but I can do it. That's what I told the guy that wanted me to do the Murphy doors. I've never done this, but I can absolutely do it. Turns out I couldn't, so I had to bring in Nick Brim. You just have to have a plan B, which I was lucky enough to have. Also, word of caution, I don't know what the laws are or whatever that is in your area, but for something like built-ins, you might need a contractor's license. So you might want to
Definitely going to need a contractor's license for that.
Yeah.
Definitely for an install.
Yeah. I mean, with built-ins, you're I always say if I'm doing something that changes the structure of the home, and a built-in would be such a thing, like you're going to have to remove drywall or something, you're going to need like a contractor's license, probably. I'm not going to say 100% because I don't know where you're at.
Yeah,
you might be in the
it's
backwoods of Virginia for all I know. I don't know.
Any alteration of the structure. So like here to do built-ins, you have to get a C15, which is a cabinet. You have to get a cabinet maker's license, basically millwork, finish work, stuff like that.
Right.
So definitely look into it.
Yeah. Mike, you want to expand on what I was saying?
Not really. No.
Okay,
I mean, every time you really, the bottom line is you need to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Like you can't like let the fear win. Like you got to do things you've never done before. That as soon as you like make yourself do stuff, you're going to find yourself. So the next time that comes, you're going to not only know how to price it right, you're going to have more confidence in yourself. And every time you get more confidence in yourself and your abilities, you're going to have more and more confidence in yourself and abilities. Even if you have a thing you take on and it like ends up becoming not going as well as you had hoped, just being able to recover from that, not with just like your own pride intact, but making sure your customer is still happy with the job at the end of it, no matter what. That's really important. So, you got to be able to take on big jobs if you want to keep growing your business. That's the bottom line. Like you got to be able to say, yeah.
I want to add on to what I was saying. I didn't just do it for the learning experience. I did charge my client, and we had an agreement. That took a lot of time, and your time is valuable. So you should be getting compensated for your time. And it still took some of my expertise. I still kind of knew things. I mean, I didn't go into this blind with the Murphy doors. I was just lucky enough that I had Nick to take over because I actually had other jobs that needed to get done. So I couldn't like revert back to that job. And I was going to say something else and I forgot. I completely blanked. I'm sorry. I took Pete's window of opportunity to talk. So
No, it's fine. I mean, all I'm going to say is like almost every project aside from repeat projects, i.e. like cutting boards or repeat tables or whatever it might be, has always been that. That's how I was learning. I was never classically trained or whatever like that. Nobody, like I didn't go to school for this. None of us did. We learned it kind of as we go. Every job, from somebody wanting just like a 2x4 picnic table when you're first starting out to built-ins, is you figuring it out. And the way I would position it to not the client, but to yourself is, I'm going to take a gamble on this. Worst case scenario, I botch the job and I lose that money, but I gain a lot of experience. Like, can you financially swing potentially losing that money and being actually at a loss on that job? Because I bet you're going to go in on that job and you're going to kill it. You're going to be great. I mean, 3 years ago, Mike didn't know how to build giant tables. He's an expert now. He learned how to do it. He figured it out. Calm down, Dan. Like, he figured out how to do it. He talked to people. He did some stuff. He took some gambles on some stuff, and it worked out great. You just did it. He did some dirt. Yeah. It's called a domino. Okay. But like, he took a gamble on himself. He took a gamble on getting a CNC and the business and everything, and it worked out. It could have fallen through, but at the end of the day, if hypothetically you want to walk away and just like sell his stuff, like the tools and everything has value, but he took that gamble. He's killing it now. You could be doing the same thing. Like, take a leap of faith. Every time somebody hits me about a custom 3D printing commission, especially, they're like, hey, I want this thing. I just have these measurements. I'm going to design it. Like, I'm very clear with the customer. Like, hey, you're giving me dimensions over the internet, and I don't know how you're measuring them. I'm hoping they're correct. I'm going to make them exactly to those dimensions. If it doesn't work, like, let's talk. I'll work with you, but you need to like know that is going to cost more for whatever. If you're very clear with them right out of the gate, you're fine. But don't ever short sell yourself. Don't ever tell them like, well, I've never really done this. I don't really feel comfortable doing it. But if you're fine with it, I'll roll the dice. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go into it with a bit of confidence.
Yeah, you got this.
Yeah, you have to be able to sell it and make the customer needs to be comfortable and confident in your ability to do it the whole time.
Yeah, Jacob, you got this.
I would say like, not, I don't know if like you do this full time, but for me, doing it full time, if I had, or when I have someone come to me with a job like that, I typically will reach out to people who do that or have done that, or that I know have done that. And I will ask if I can just sit down with them or get on a phone call with them, and they can kind of walk me through things, or I'll even show them where like my numbers are at so I can see. And then typically they'll be like, okay, well, you're not thinking about this, or this thing that you're spending time on, you're actually not going to need to do it because of this. And you can get a lot of information from your peers. So I would reach out to people who know. I've called Dan on stuff for sure. I've called other people on stuff. I mean, you just call.
He doesn't call me.
Get information. I don't 3D print. So no. So like, I mean,
reach out to Justin
people
over at Rustic's Grains Design
Tampers.
Yeah, reach out to Justin. He does all he does is casework and
sometimes
cabinets and built-ins.
I get a good feeling. That's Flow Rider.
But that's all he does all day. A 30-second conversation with him will probably like answer all your questions.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I know that Justin will take your call or take your message and help you out, because Justin's very helpful. And I'm speaking for Justin, but I know Justin will help someone else. He's very helpful and very knowledgeable with built-ins. But if you don't know Justin from Rustic Grain Designs, Tampa, reach out to someone who you do know who does built-ins. But for me, I try to say yes to everything. And if I if I feel confident in myself that I have a grasp on what I'm doing and what I'm pricing up, I'll usually price high in case I do mess something up, so that I've made my money still. Because if something takes twice as long as I had planned, at least I haven't lost my whole butt on it. So anyway,
my strategy now is I don't say no to anything either. And the way I look at it is, if I don't know how to do it, I will figure it out. Yep. I mean, the internet is a very good source of information for a lot of things.
It's wood. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Or MDF.
And that's another thing I tell myself. It's wood. I can remake it if it's wrong.
Right. I'll figure it out. Nick Brim do it for a Bud Light and
Bush Light. Come on.
Bush Light. I'm sorry.
Anyway, sorry.
This next question is from Josh the Dad. Josh the Dad.
I know him.
Hey guys, this is Josh the Dad. Yep, Josh the Dad, one of the Big IG, coming at you with this week's question about wood movement. So here's my example. Last week, I was cutting out some coasters from a piece of alder, 22 inches long. I cut off the board, set it on my CNC, flattened one side, flipped it over, started doing my cuts. I goofed up. So I ended up pocketing out where my coasters were and getting them down to a depth. And then I cut on my CNC, did my design, filled it with epoxy. And then I went back later and just flattened the entire board all the way down. And I got it to the depth, cut up my coasters, and they turned out great. This week, instead of pocketing out where my coasters were, I went ahead and just stuck it on my CNC. I flattened one side, I flipped it, I flattened the other side, and I got it all the way down to the thickness that I wanted for my coasters. As I took it out of the CNC to flip it, it maybe sat for an hour, I guess. I came back and it wasn't flat anymore. It had kind of shifted and moved on me. But, being me, I just went ahead and started doing it. So I still need to finish that project. But it brought up a really strange question is how or can you deal with wood movement on a piece of wood? Is there a telltale sign that kind of notifies you, hey, I'm going to move, or it is what it is? Now, granted, I started out, it was a 3/4 inch thick piece of alder, and I got it down to a 1/2 inch. So I didn't think I went too crazy on it, but then again, you never know. So any advice, any suggestions? Appreciate it. Talk to you later.
By the way, before we answer it, just to explain it, when he's saying he pocketed out one side and then the other, what he means is he created a pocket toolpath, which means he just chose a rectangle and essentially used the CNC as a flattener, like a planer, and just flatten it out. That's what he means by pocketing it out. Just wanted to explain that. And I guess I'll answer the second part. Yeah, but you might as well. Just wanted to explain that. But as far as wood movement, I mean, that's kind of a weird thing for it to move that big. It wasn't a big piece of wood either. I saw you making those coasters. I'm wondering if you took off like a hair on one side and a pretty heavy cut on the other side, but it still shouldn't have moved that much, especially if it was a piece of alder that's been sitting around your shop. Now, as far as like, what was your humidity? What was, what cut of wood was it? Like, was there, was it, what's you guys are better with like which direction the grain is going. Like if it's like a smile, it'll frown on you or whatever. Yeah, frowns and crowns. So I mean, maybe it was that. I always try to kind of pay attention to that, but I would never think that it would cup on you that quickly, especially if it was a piece that's been sitting in your shop. Usually if I'm working with some fresher wood, I always like anytime I mill it up, I let it sit for a day before I do anything, because I assume it might move on me, especially if I haven't dried it and it's air dried. Or it's still acclimating to my shop. But if it's been sitting in my shop for a while, usually, I mean, I'll wait a couple hours or a day before I actually do stuff to it. So maybe try milling up some of that stock and getting it ready, and then the next day or in a few days, try doing it again, because you might need to run it through the planer just to flatten it out a little bit. Mike, what do you think? You do with a lot of CNC stuff. So you ever run into this issue?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have wood that has so much grain tension in it that after you're done with it, you just throw it in the trash can. Sometimes you just can't win. Like this is hard to explain on a podcast, but when you have wood, especially like any sort of figuring in it, the grain isn't just like this flat plane. Like it's not just stacked pieces of fibers on top of each other. The grain sometimes just goes in crazy directions all over the place. So imagine imagine that my visual here, which you can't see on the podcast, I'm holding my fingers together and they're going in different directions.
Like here is the steeple, here are the
watch
people.
The video, youtube.com/Another Podcast.
Oh, nice plug. And then imagine you took off 1/3 of that thickness. Well, now you've got this kind of mess mashed down below here, and the grain's still going in different directions. Well, now it's not on these ends. Now this wood just came up like this because you removed all this wood that was kind of holding it down flat. So the grain is like a structure. It's the structure that holds itself together. And if it goes in different directions, I get it. Honestly, I have like a special spot in my heart for alder because it's one of the first hardwoods I ever worked with when I got into woodworking. I really like alder. I think it's really pretty stuff, but it is so unstable for me. I've always had issues with it. I'll mill it and then I'll check it the next day and it's like a taco. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And it's just crazy how bad alder can be sometimes. But it's cheaper for a reason. Like I think it's really pretty wood. It's pretty consistent. It looks really nice, but I think it has a pretty high deficiency rate in terms of like after you mill it, it can do that. So I don't think it's crazy for alder. I think you get woods where like people are like, oh, I just love walnut so much. Well, it's because it's really stable. Like walnut is really stable wood. It's a really stable wood and it doesn't have to deal with a lot of that stuff. So it's just imagine you've got something that's 3/4 of an inch thick. You now took it to 1/2 inch thick. You removed 1/3 of its structure and it's just going to respond. It just happens. So if that happens, I usually just throw it in the fire pit pile and grab another one and move on to it. Now, I know sometimes that's not the case for people. Like I have lots of wood in my shop. Not a lot of people have a lot of wood in their shop. So you just have to like kind of just keep an eye on it, which is harder to do, when you have limited stock, or like you can't just like turn around and grab some more alder off your shelf. It's not like an option for everyone. So you got to just kind of pay attention to it. I don't know. You can't win against wood movement. It will win. There's nothing you can do. Dan?
Mike took some of the words out of my mouth. Yes, alder is a pretty unstable wood as far as a lot of hardwoods go. Yeah, and as far as hardwoods go, it's a softer hardwood. And
it's one of the softest.
I find that the softer the wood, quote unquote softwood, it's unstable. Like pine is softwood and it's unstable AF, right? And alder's right up there with it. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, alder is coniferous, yeah? No?
I don't know if alder is a cone bearing. I think if it's cone bearing, that makes it a softwood. So I don't think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think
I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, one of the other points I wanted to expand upon that I've never heard mentioned that I've ran into is, especially when you're running a CNC, especially like a pocket, that creates a lot of heat. A lot of heat. And as you're introducing the heat to the wood, it will move and twist as soon as it starts cooling off. I've run into this problem. I did a big 32-inch by 18-inch flag a couple weeks ago out of pine, like southern yellow pine. It was actually quality pine. And I did a lot of pockets. I did a lot of V carving. I introduced some heat to it from the bit. And as soon as it started to cool off, it started cupping. So I believe that could be part of your problem as well. And what can you do to avoid that? Like Mike said, it's tough to beat. Wood movement is Mother Nature, and you're just not going to beat Mother Nature a lot of the times. You just have to plan for it or try to plan for it. You can't always plan for it. Sometimes there's tension in the wood. You don't know it's going to come up until it does, and you're like, dang it. So yeah.
There's a reason you want to factor in waste.
It is a deciduous tree.
It wouldn't be. I think if you
you're right.
By nature, if it's
coniferous, it's softwood. Yeah. I'm a bozo.
Yeah. So no,
I thought you were right until I knew you were wrong.
Yeah, Josh, it's just kind of one of those things. It sucks, but it is what it is. This next question is from Nick Potter. Last week he had a very long question, and we were razzing him a bit. But Nick, big thank you for calling in 2 weeks in a row, man. We really do appreciate it.
Hey guys, it's Nick Potter again. Thanks for answering last week's question about the robots. Also, thanks for the roast. My follow-up question, and it's quick, is this. With more and more robots and automation that is making its way into the hobbyist woodworking workshop, at what point can you no longer market your product as handmade? Thanks, and have a great week, guys.
I kind of want to go first on this one, if you don't mind. My perspective on it is like, I'm still manually loading it off of a truck. I'm still loading that lumber into my lumber racks. I'm still picking the lumber manually. I'm still deciding which pieces I'm using for these pieces. I'm like for the Etsy stuff, I mean, a lot of that I've purposely tried to automate as much as I can to make money on those things. But I'm still doing all the work. I'm still sanding it by hand. I don't have a robot doing that. I think once you have a stack of wood on one side of a room and a robot pulls that onto a conveyor belt, and then that goes onto a machine that then mills it on all four sides in one pass through, which they have those machines that do that, mills up the wood, and then that goes down to another machine that cuts them up into the lengths, and then that goes onto a CNC, which cuts out all the, that's when you're starting to not, that's obviously a factory and you're not handmade anymore. I think that when there's a, when there's one person or like six people in a shop making a bunch of stuff and there's a CNC and some lasers in there and maybe other couple automated tools, you're still handmade in my opinion. Now you're not like a hand tool craftsman kind of deal. You're starting to lose some of the craftsmanship, I would say, in that stuff. But I still think it's handmade. That's my opinion on it. Dan?
Yeah, this is an argument that's as old as power tools themselves.
Right.
I mean, as soon as the first circular saw came on the market, people were like, "Oh, What is
Not
this crazy
handmade.
technology? This ain't handmade anymore. There's no craftsmanship here. So yeah, Mike's nailed it on the head. Like, you know, you could beat this argument all night long. It's just,
I think about this regularly. Like, I'm like, oh, when I go to my Etsy listing and I go, oh, it's handmade by me. I'm like, man, is this still handmade? And I'm like, yeah, it is. It is still handmade. It is.
I use the tag handmade in all my Etsy products.
Yeah. I mean, but yes,
I don't even think about
it is handmade. I do a lot of this. I'm still sanding it, and I apply all the finish on all those things by hand. I don't even spray any of my Etsy listings. They all get hand oil rubbed. Like, it's all done manually. I mean, that's hand.
And
work.
this argument is just as prevalent as PC versus Mac, or you know, whatever. Right. You know, I mean, it's pointless to argue about it. Nobody's going to win. Pete, what do you think?
I agree with you guys both. If you're putting your hands on, even if you're cutting something out on a laser and you're assembling it with a little glue or whatever, it's handmade. It's a handmade item. You still, you know, you put in the work, you select the material, you do the work. I mean, is my 3D printed stuff handmade? No. You know, I mean, I designed it, I put in the work, I ship it, I kiss each piece, COVID, and I, you know, put a sticker in there, whatever. You like, I pack everything with care, but that's not handmade. That's
really automated. I mean, that's not like no one's going like, I want to look for some handmade 3D printed stuff.
Yeah, now there is
what's some handmade plastic pieces,
stuff
please?
like it's somebody that carves like a nice coffee spoon. You know, just carves it by hand. Like Nell from Nell King Design, I think. She hand carves spoons, and they're beautiful and they're gorgeous. And I gotta hit her up for one. That's really handmade. And you pay extra for that premium too, because like, you know, someone made it and like that's what you're looking for. But then there's also, you know, you can get those like factory made, basically, that like a piece of wood gets put into a machine and a 5-axis machine can cut it out one every minute, and then like they just toss it into a bin in Amazon. You know, they could still list it as handmade, but not really. So if you touch it, if you put in some love and work into it, hell yeah, it's handmade.
Totally. The next question is from Mike with Pix to Proto.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Pix to Proto. Question for you today on Etsy product photos. What do you guys do to stage your product photos? Get those looking really good for your listings. I've been going through trying to work on that on my own products, and just wondering what you guys are doing there. Second question I have for you is on Instagram. Where do you guys get your hashtags? Do you base your hashtags off of what your post composition is, or do you just have a standard list of hashtags that you always use? Love the podcast. Look forward to hearing your answers.
Dan?
I just make sure for the Etsy photos, I just make sure the backgrounds aren't distracting. I know a lot of people use the little white tents and the photo tents and stuff, and I've never seen the need for that. They are handy. I know Mike and Pete probably use them, but I think the most important thing is make sure there's no distracting backgrounds. You want to be focused on the piece itself, and you need to be able to see the detail of the piece. As far as the hashtags, I've been working on it for several years, and I've just kept a note on my phone, and I've developed a hashtag system for each day of the week. So like Monday gets a certain set of hashtags, Tuesday. So if you go to my post, you'll see that the hashtags line up with the days of the week. And it's kind of an ever evolving thing. Like I'll notice something's working and something's not. And I try to go with I have a three-step base, I guess. It's like the basic hashtags like woodworking, woodwork, wood shop. And then I'll do something that's day specific, like work for it Wednesday or workshop Wednesday. And then I'll do something that's kind of more local, like made in Omaha, made in Nebraska. So I combine those three into like a little set, and I do each one for each day of the week. I hope that makes sense. Pete?
Yeah, I've tried the copy and paste, kind of use a similar or the same 10 or whatever, and then change up a couple per post. Then I tried, I think Dan, you recommended the site. It was like Display Purposes.
Displaypurposes.com.
Yeah.
It's a good starting point.
Yeah. Like you put in a a word and it gives you a bunch of hashtags for it. A couple of them sometimes don't make sense, but you can customize and choose whichever ones you want. That was a good starting point. Now I just tend to like just manually write them in. I don't know that I've heard the, like, oh, if you put in woodworking every day for a couple of, weeks or whatever, you're going to get like shadow banned or whatever. And like, I don't know how much true that has, but at the same time, I'm just like, whatever, I'll just like customize it and like try some different ones. And once in a while, I'll go into the metrics and like actually see if anything was like from hashtags, is am I getting more views or whatever. All I know that is right now, apparently, home renovation is not what people want to see because I'm bombing, but maybe it's the hashtags. But I just try to do it, random each time now. Mike, what about you?
What about the picture thing for Etsy?
Oh, sorry, yeah, picture thing for Etsy. Sex sells. That's all I'm gonna say. Sex sells, but with all seriousness, Etsy does an actually remarkable job of giving you all the different, like, even the preview pictures before you choose the pictures literally shows like someone wearing it, someone like from an angle, straight up, down. Like, try to use different angles. Try to have as blank of a background as possible with some proper lighting, if you can. If you are, if you have a good phone or if you're talented enough with a camera, maybe a little bokeh, a little blurry background, always makes the item pop a little bit. And this is not a photo, but this is something that Etsy, it's one of those things that we talked about this in the past. If it's a feature, use it. Video. I want little 15-second clips of literally all you have to do is just pan around the item and then maybe show it being used. And I know the items you make, and you can show it being used and installed very quickly, make a quick little 15-second video. Apparently Etsy prioritizes those videos. And even if it's just a little percent, if you get a 2% boost on your post because you have a video in there, that's worth it. Do it. Mike?
For Etsy, I do have a photo booth. I almost never use it anymore. It's kind of like black, it blows out. Yeah, like the light blows out on it really bad. It's just so much light. It looks unnatural. Anyway, when I get my new office set up in the new house, I really want an area for taking photos of those smaller items. I also want to do like a roll up, like backdrop that's on like a crank or something, that for when I do finished pieces, I can have like a big one, like a 10-foot long one that I can roll up on the wall and pull it down for big pictures. But it's what Dan and Pete already said. Just don't have anything distracting. I'm trying to put graphics on mine and stuff. So there's the image, and then like it has like my tag on there. I'm actually stealing that from Two Moose. So they'll have like a graphic. It keeps all, even though the pictures are all different, the actual image is different. The how it's organized looks the same across all their images, which I actually really like. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad idea for me to do. I'm kind of experimenting with it, so who knows. And then in terms of hashtag, man, I don't know, man. Who knows? Hashtags are Instagram's so weird. Like, who even knows how any of this stuff works? Dan does something, Pete does something, I do something. We all have different.
Yeah, I'm not saying what I do is right.
Yeah, we don't even know. Like, no one even knows. Like, there's no answer. Like, everything seems to be like someone would be like, yeah, I used a Workshop Wednesday 3 weeks in a row, and now I'm shadow banned, and no one even knows what shadow banned even means, or what. Who even knows. So I don't know. I think a while back, I used to use the notes like Dan does. I actually probably even got that from Dan, was to put him in a notepad or something. I don't even know, but I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. I found that when I was copying and pasting hashtags, I was having more issues with posts, but it could also have just been all up in my head, because some days I'll do some things and then posts will just go up. So I don't even know. I can't even like pretend to know how any of this stuff works, to be honest with you, Mike. I just don't know. I don't know. I just do my thing. And my thing is this: I just randomly put hashtags that are relevant to what I'm posting. Nothing wild. Like if I'm putting up woodworking stuff, I don't be like, Corvette. It doesn't make sense, like if it's woodworking related. And then
keep it relevant.
Yeah, keep it relevant. And then
woodworking Corvette.
I do like my woodworking stuff. I go through all that stuff. If I can tag, like if I'm doing, like I did the restaurant tables, I tagged restaurant, food, things like that have big, broad, sweeping uses on Instagram. Like if you can get food somehow worked in, like a bunch of food hashtags or photography hashtags worked into your stuff, those ones will grab a ton of people. So, and then I always do local ones. I typically do about 6 local ones. I name three cities and 3 area codes, or what is it? Zip codes. area codes.
code
I do
for
area
the-
codes. Yeah. Yeah. I do the area code for my area. So I do 3 of them. And those have actually, I'm certain that hashtagging local stuff has actually gotten me a really decent local following. And because I know this for a fact, because I'll get hits on my website for people requesting a quote. And they'll be like, yeah, I found you on Instagram. I'm like, oh, how'd you find me on Instagram? And it's like, I was looking at the local area and your post came up. So it works. I mean, those things.
I pay
work.
more
would definitely-
attention to the local tags than I do the broad sweeping tags.
Yeah, for sure. You really want to make sure you hit those local tags. Anyway, so that's kind of it for the questions this week. We're actually doing pretty good on time. I'm considering how many questions we got. We had a bunch of questions this week. It was great. We haven't had this many questions in a long time.
That was awesome. Yeah.
So,
Guys,
yeah,
keep
it was a
calling
lot of
in.
fun. Yeah, seriously, keep calling the questions. Keep sharing the show. Keep giving us those weirdo reviews. We love those. Those
so
are
good.
so great.
The funnier, the better.
Mesothelioma.
Mesothelioma money. It was good stuff. Anyway, you guys are awesome. Thanks for all the support you guys give us. Just a super cool community. I've got to get to work to getting some people on the show. We got to get some guests in here soon. So I actually have a couple of messages out now, and there's a couple I need to follow back on. So we're gonna get those going soon. We'll get more information together about when me and Dan are flying out to Pete's house. I don't think we're gonna do a maker meetup thing. I think we're gonna kind of keep it low key, except for we are gonna go to the maker.
I was gonna say,
maker,
we didn't actually talk
camp.
about that on the show.
Yeah, we didn't bring that up, did we?
Oh, we didn't, did we?
No, we did. That was in
Didn't
a
we?
pre-show. Yeah, Mike and Dan are flying out to Jersey to.
No,
have
we
good
brought
pizza
up
and
we're
bagels.
coming to Jersey, but I don't think we brought
We
up
didn't
the
bring up
maker
the
camp.
No, yeah, and then
we didn't.
So yeah, Mike, you want to tell them about the big
Yeah,
thing?
so there's the big. I mean, we're going. Me and Dan are going out to Pete's the first week of October, which I think we mentioned in the show, but we didn't mention this part. It just so happens that the maker camp up in where is it? It's East Durham.
East Durham,
it's where
New
Jimmy's
York.
at, right?
It's upstate New York
Yeah,
by Jimmy DeRessa's thing, and
it's up by
Blackthorn
Jimmy's
Resort.
Yeah. So it's a maker camp. You can. We're gonna get the maker passes. We want to go to see all the classes and talk to everyone. So we'll be down there on Saturday. I don't think we'll be there any other days. Probably just Saturday. I think we're gonna try to limit it to the one day. We're gonna get out there real early. We're gonna leave early in the morning, and then drive out there and hang out.
Dan, you can sleep in a car.
Yeah.
All right. It's a
We're gonna
2.5
leave out
hour
there
drive
early.
for us, but
it's
we'll
better
make it.
that you sleep when we drive anyway, so we don't have to make 75 stops. So we're gonna drive out there early, and we're gonna hang out all day and hang out real late. And Pete's gonna stay real sober so we can drive home. Oh, Emma's going. Outstanding.
Yeah. Why did you just come in,
Wait.
BD? Thanks, baby.
No, Mike said he can't drink because he has
Oh yeah,
diet.
I'm not
so
really
he's
drinking.
the
I'll drive
Oh,
too.
Mike's
If you're fine with me
driving. Oh, you're
I
gonna
can
love the
totally
Subaru,
drive.
man. It handles like a truck, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I drove one of those when I was a little
It
girl.
does.
So, no,
His son has one.
It's all-wheel
Yeah, my
something.
Jack's got a couple Subarus. No,
Little Tyke Subaru.
nope, just a regular Outback. No, that's gonna be really cool. I mean, it's been so long since we've gone to like a maker thing. God, I'm so excited. Like outside of something we've organized, it's been a long time since we've done a maker thing. So I'm really excited about that. So anyway, big thanks to all you guys for all the support. We will talk to you guys throughout the week, but we'll do the podcast next week, and hopefully you can join us in the pre-show live. Check out YouTube for all of us. Check out all of our Instagrams and even our Facebooks and our TikToks. Dan's huge over there. He's like he's the I don't know.
He's what you call a big deal.
TikTok. So anyway, check us out over there. Oh, and check out our Etsy stores if you're looking for some handmade stuff, mostly handmade. It'd be really great. Yeah,
Everything's shipped and handled by us.
hand old,
Except for the shirts.
right?
We don't handle the
Shirts,
shirts.
that's done entirely by robots out of Indonesia. So big thanks to those kids.
Handmade. Hashtag.
Handmade. Hashtag handmade. All right. Love you guys a long time. Bye now. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Love you long time.
Bye.
Bye.